Hello. How often do you ride the 33 bus?
A lot.
Do you know anything about the SEPTA revolution where they're going to change the bus routes?
No, I don't know anything about it.
I've lived in this area nearly 30 years. Mostly I use the bus, so I call it the Ghetto Express, affectionately, okay? My ticket to ride, the 33 bus.
This has been my neighborhood for the last 52 years, and I'm currently 71 years old and getting older. I use the bus for everything. I've never bothered to learn to drive, so essentially the bus is my lifeline.
SEPTA has buses, trains, we've got subways, we've got trolleys, we've got everything here. But buses carry about half of all of our riders. The Bus Revolution is SEPTA's first comprehensive redesign of its entire bus network in the city and in the suburbs. We're looking at all aspects of bus service provision, the routes, the schedules, the stops. Over the last few decades, people's travel habits have changed, where they work have changed, and the bus system hasn't really kept up with that.
One of the strategies behind this network is to have fewer routes, but operate those routes more frequently.
The vast majority of the feedback that we got during the first draft was specifically geared towards transferring.
Transfer and reduce the busing that's up here for them to get to school directly? This is insane to me.
They're going to be getting off here, right? They're going to come this way. So I have testified more in city council than any citizen in modern times. So as we start to get closer to the draft of SEPTA's changes, then I start to really perk up and listen and focus. But every time I ask one of my neighbors catching a bus over here behind me or down the street where they get off, none of them knew. Yeah, did you know anything about the SEPTA bus changes? No young person, no older person, nobody knew about the SEPTA revolution. Okay, here you have a cane getting on and off the bus. You should know as a senior citizen, right?
Yeah.
You never heard of SEPTA revolution?
No.
Well, Google it, because I know you have a phone. Where are your black people at? Are you making this major decision? It's historic. I believe all of that. It's a historic move. Hasn't happened in 60 years. That's all the more reason why we all should know about it.
We recognize that it will have a transformational impact.
I began receiving emails and phone calls regarding the SEPTA Bus Revolution plan, and I had constituents concerned about various routes being changed.
It's important that everyone understands that even before the pandemic, the current bus network had become increasingly outdated.
I work at a grocery store and I'm a bus rider as well as being part of Fifth Square. Many stand to benefit from bus revolution, and we cannot leave them out in the cold in favor of a less usable system for the sake of comfort we take in the devil we know.
Today we have heard that so many constituencies have not been informed.
I think we had a good plan. I think there were some issues in the execution. I think that when we started, we've always been really committed to public engagement. So that commitment, was there from the start of the project. What we didn't do a great job of was sort of just overall project awareness. Like, we had signs on buses, but they weren't resonating. The messaging wasn't hitting people in the right way. And that kind of influenced some of the later rounds, because then people were seeing something for the first time, but they were seeing the project, a year in.
I really think that most of those folks on that committee are like college graduates with upper level jobs, and they really aren't dependent on SEPTA. Even though they say they use SEPTA to get to and from, they're not, as me, totally dependent on SEPTA. So I think I'm the one that has the expert opinion.
The current network is about 125 routes. The draft network that we shared last fall was about 99. This updated network is 105 routes.
We went through all the feedback. We aggregated it. There were a lot of people that wrote in about a handful of routes. I think there was like 6 or 7 routes that made up like 80 to 90% of the comments. This will be our 4th round of engagement, so we added an additional round of engagement, and I do think that helped. We have to be flexible in how we do this. Ultimately, we have to put out a transit network that people, use and value. And I think that, it doesn't help us if we design a bunch of new routes that people ultimately don't find useful.